Ammunition, commonly shortened to ammo, is propellant and projectile, or broadly anything that can be used in combat including bombs, missiles, warheads, landmines, naval mines, and anti-personnel mines. The word comes from the French langue munition, which is all material used for war. The collective term for all types of ammunition is munitions. The purpose of ammunition is to project force against the selected target. However, the nature of ammunition use also includes delivery or combat supporting munitions such as pyrotechnic or incendiary compounds. Since the design of the cartridge, the meaning has been transferred to the assembly of a projectile and its propellant in a single package. Ammunition involves the application of fire to targets, general use of weapons by personnel, explosives and propellants, cartridge systems, high-explosive projectiles, warheads, shaped charge forms of attack on armor and aircraft, carrier projectiles, fuses, mortar ammunition, small arms ammunition, grenades, mines, pyrotechnics, improved conventional munitions, and terminally precision-guided munition. Glossary: a round is a term synonymous with a single cartridge containing a projectile, propellant, primer and casing. Large caliber cannon often fire explosive-filled projectiles known as shells. Non-explosive projectiles may be used for practice, see artillery. Large numbers of small projectiles intended to be fired all at once in a single discharge are also called shot. Handheld guns designed for this type of ammunition are generally known as shotguns. Duds are fully loaded ordnance that fail to function as intended. A cartridge that fails to fire in the weapon is known as a misfire. A partially functioning round is named a hang fire. Dud ammunition, unexploded ordnance, UXO, is regarded as highly dangerous, and most safety officials inform civilians to report finding of any large-bore duds to the local police or military. Dum-dum rounds were early attempts to cause contact-initiated expansion. Many were lead-nose bullets with X marks cut across the nose. A bomb, or more specifically a guided or unguided bomb, also called aircraft bombs or aerial bombs, typically refers to air-dropped, unpowered explosive weapons. Mines, warheads used in guided missiles and rockets are also referred to as bomb-type ammunition. Historical, c. World War I. These general conditions apply to the storage of ammunition in fortresses. Here the positions for the magazine and ammunition stores are so chosen as to afford the best means of protection from an enemy's fire. Huge earth parapets cover these buildings, which are further strengthened, where possible, by traverses protecting the entrances. For the purpose of filling, emptying, and examining cannon cartridges and shell, a laboratory is generally provided at some distance from the magazine. The various stores for explosives are classified into those under magazine conditions, such as magazines, laboratories, and cartridge stores, and those with which these restrictions need not be observed, such as ammunition and shell stores. The interior walls of a magazine are lined, and the floors laid so that there may be no exposed iron or steel. At the entrance, there is a lobby or barrier, inside which persons about to enter the magazine change their clothes for a special suit, and their boots for a pair made without nails. In an ammunition or shell store these precautions need not be taken except where the shell store and the adjacent cartridge store have a common entrance. Persons entering may do so in their ordinary clothes. A large work may have a main magazine and several subsidiary magazines, from which the stock of cartridges is renewed in the cartridge stores attached to each group of guns or in the expense cartridge stores and cartridge recesses. The same applies to main ammunition stores which supply the shell stores, expense stores, and recesses. The supply of ammunition are either for guns forming the movable armament or for guns placed in permanent positions. The movable armament will consist of guns and howitzers of small and medium caliber, and it is necessary to arrange suitable expense cartridge stores and shell stores close to the available positions. They can generally be constructed to form part of the permanent work in the projected face of traverses or other strong formations, and should be arranged for a 24-hour supply of ammunition. These stores are refilled from the main magazine every night under cover of darkness. Light railways join the various positions. The guns mounted in permanent emplacements are divided into groups of 2 or 3 guns each, and usually each group will require but one caliber of ammunition. A cartridge store, shell store and a general store, all well ventilated, are arranged for the especial service of such a group of guns. In the cartridge store the cylinders containing the cartridges are so placed and labeled that the required charge, whether reduced or full, can be immediately selected. In the shell store, the common shell are separated from the armor-piercing or shrapnel. Each nature of projectile is painted in a distinctive manner to render identification easy. The fuses and tubes are placed in the general store with the tools and accessories belonging to the guns. The gun group is distinguished by some letter and the guns of the group by numerals, thus A/1 is number 1 gun of Group A. The magazine and shell stores are also indicated by the group letter, and so that mistakes, even by those unaccustomed to the fort, may be avoided, the passages are pointed out by finger posts and direction boards. For the immediate service of each gun, a few cartridges and projectiles are stored in small receptacles, called cartridge and shell recesses respectively, built in the parapet as near the gun position as practicable. In some cases, a limited number of projectiles may be placed close underneath the parapet if this is conveniently situated near the breech of the gun and not exposed to hostile fire. In order to supply the ammunition sufficiently rapidly for the efficient service of modern guns, hydraulic, electric, or hand power, hoists are employed to raise the cartridges and shell from the cartridge store and shell store to the gun floor, whence they are transferred to a derrick or a loading tray attached to the mounting for loading the gun. Projectiles for BL guns above 6-inch, 152 mm, caliber are stored in shell stores ready filled and fused standing on their bases, except shrapnel and high explosive shell, which are fused only when about to be used. Smaller sizes of shells are laid on their sides in layers, each layer pointing in the opposite direction to the one below to prevent injury to the driving bands. Cartridges are stored in brass corrugated cases or in zinc cylinders. The corrugated cases are stacked in layers in the magazine with the mouth of the case towards a passage between the stacks, so that it can be opened and the cartridges removed and transferred to a leather case when required for transport to the gun. Cylinders are stacked, when possible, vertically one above the other. The charges are sent to the gun in these cylinders, and provision is made for the rapid removal of the empty cylinders. The number and nature of rounds allotted to any fortress depends on questions of policy and location, the degrees of resistance the nature of the works and personnel could reasonably be expected to give, and finally on the nature of the armament. That is to say, for guns of large caliber 300 to 400 rounds per gun might be sufficient, while for light QF guns it might amount to 1,000 or more rounds per gun.